Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jonathan Holloway, the president of Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. I'm really thrilled to have you all here today, and we're in for a really exciting, I think, elevating hour that we'll get to spend together. So thank you again for being here. Some of you may know about my journey into the presidency, and by means of introduction to this program, I want to talk a little bit about that if you haven't heard. When I was introduced to the idea of applying to be the president of Rutgers, I started to look carefully what Rutgers had to offer. I knew about what it was in terms of my scholarly world, but what was Rutgers as an institution? What did it mean for its own students? And very quickly, I found myself going from, I don't think I'm ready to apply for a presidency, to being really excited about what Rutgers specifically had to offer. Now, I, of course, put my name in the hat, and here I am. On that first day, when I introduced myself, basically 1 year and a year and 5 days ago, actually, I talked then about a vision for a beloved community. And that's a very specific phrase I've carried with me and you may have heard me talk about it on other occasions. I've certainly been talking about it a lot. The reason I chose that phrase is because in doing my research on Rutgers, I discovered that it was doing incredible work in terms of bringing together people from all these different walks of life. I'm speaking of students in particular at this moment, and giving them the opportunity to form into new communities and to achieve something beyond their imaginations. So when I talk about a beloved community at Rutgers, on my day of introduction, I was tapping into what was already here. But I wanted to make it clear that in the Holloway presidency, I think that this is one of the things Rutgers can be most proud of, and that we needed to find ways to amplify that work we've already done and the work that we can do. Central to my idea of a beloved community is the idea that excellence can be found everywhere. I'm thinking just for the United States for this moment, this is a massive country. And there is talent in every nook and cranny of this country on a wide variety of things. We just have to develop the skill to find that talent, make sure they understand, that talent understands how exciting Rutgers is as a place to be. And then once they get here, do the work to foster a sense of community. Now I'm talking nationwide, but we also do that very locally as well. And that's what this afternoon's presentation is all about. Since 2008, Rutgers Future Scholars program has been working with students in New Jersey, beginning in the 8th grade in our host communities of Camden, Newark, and New Brunswick, and Piscataway, provide access to higher education. Rutgers Future Scholars is all about finding excellence everywhere we can in New Jersey, looking in places, frankly, that often get overlooked, looking at individuals who, for all sets of complex reasons, may get overlooked. And Rutgers Future Scholars is about saying, articulating the belief, we think there are amazing people everywhere. We also recognize that sometimes those amazing people need to be nurtured along the way. We need to decode what it means to be at a research university, and we are going to extend ourselves as a Rutgers community into these neighborhoods, into these homes, to say this place could be for you. Higher education can be for you, and we're going to help map out or chart out a course about how you're going to do that. So this afternoon, you're going to hear from the head of the program and a few of the amazing students with whom this program partners, and an extremely committed volunteer, advocate, and investor. I'm confident that you will leave today's session proud of your alma mater and inspired by this initiative. So without further ado, it's my privilege to introduce Aramis Gutierrez, who has led Rutgers Future Scholars since its inception. He is inspirational, he is committed, he is everything that makes me feel proud to be part of this special community. Aramis, over to you.
Thank you, President Holloway. It's such an honor and a privilege to have you join us, for us to hear from you about your vision for our university, about your confidence in future scholars. You have been quite a champion for us in your short time with us. And so we thank you sincerely. At RFS, we believe access to a higher education provides a transformative power to change one's trajectory, to propel young people in their lives. It creates opportunities. Since 2008, we feel we have been doing just that with RFS. We have now served over 2,800 scholars in our communities of Newark, New Brunswick, Piscataway, Camden, and Rahway, New Jersey. Our scholars are tapping into, and we are helping them cultivate a genius within them. And that can take place on Saturdays, in after school programs, during our summer months. We are with them to the moment that they arrive on our campuses, and even beyond that. Many of our alums, our proud alums, are joining us today on this call as well. And we have a saying in RFS that our scholars believe in and we believe in, and that's once a scholar, always a scholar. And this is our unconditional commitment to our scholars, that in both the hardships and the triumphs, that we're going to be there for them to help steer them towards the success and the goals and the dreams that they set forth. It's an honor to join all of you here today. I hope you and your families are healthy and safe during these really challenging times. I have 4 scholars to introduce you to, that you will hear from a little bit about their stories, about their experience for RFS, their experience at Rutgers, and they are just a small representation, if you will, in a big way, but a small representation of the thousands of scholars who are proud to call themselves a Rutgers Future Scholar. So part of the class of 22, I have Miss Tiana Wyatt, who's joining us today. She is a junior in the School of Public Administration. Hi, Tiana. Proud Camden native. From the class of 21, which is an important year. I don't know if you know, it's the year 2021 right now, is Michelle Mfume and Chelsea Wong. Chelsea studies at the School of Arts and Sciences, and Michelle at the College of Arts and Sciences at Rutgers, Newark. Proud Piscataway natives, yes, right. And we have a high schooler here who's joining us, which takes a lot of courage to do. I don't know about many of you, and when you were 17 years old, the things that we were capable of doing, we don't know this until we actually do them for most part. But Mr. Nassar is with us today, and Nassar is a high school senior in the Newark community. Hello, Nassar, how are you? Feeling good? Yes, right. And before we begin some of our prepared questions that we have in this conversation, President Holloway has a message for you.
Thanks, Aramis. For those who don't know, who are in the audience, before these Zoom calls start, you go into sort of the green room, and so all the people you're seeing on the panel get a chance to visit. I came in late, so I didn't get the chance to say hello to the scholars. So I'm excited to hear from all of you over the next hour. I'm going to be here just like hanging out and basking in your glory. I do want to take one moment to bask in a particular person's glory, though. It's my great pleasure, Nasser, to let you know your application to Rutgers is successful. You've been admitted to the university. We're letting you know it's a little bit earlier than other people.
Yes.
I love it. That's just made the whole afternoon worth it. Now, I want to be clear. To be fair, you are not obligated to accept, okay? So this is not a moment where you got to sign on right now. Your admission is there, but I wanted to share a little bit of sunshine on this kind of overcast day. So my great work is done, and now I turn it over to you guys to continue the rest of this meeting. Thank you all, and congratulations, Nassar.
Wow, let's unmute ourselves. Michelle, Chelsea, Tiana. Nassar, how do we feel?
I feel great. I don't know how to like explain it right now, but this means a lot. Like to be accepted to Rutgers, you know.
And I see a family elbow right next to you. Hello.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. This is something very special. As many of you know who know about RFS, we start working with scholars in 7th grade, and the end goal for many of them is college, right? And so they work towards this. Every Saturday after school every summer, chipping away at that goal. And Nassar, we all had, I think, the honor and privilege of joining Nassar today and hearing that story and hearing from President Holloway directly. That's a first in RFS to have the president provide you that information. Michelle,
RFS gets me excited, man. It gets me excited.
No,
Okay, I'll get out of here.
It's fun. You're more than welcome to join us. Michelle, Chelsea, and Tiana, could you share with us, because we weren't there for your moment, when did you hear and learn that you were accepted to Rutgers? Who was with you? Tell us a little bit. Who wants to share that story? When did you find out and how did you feel? Michelle?
Okay, I'll go first. So I found out pretty early because we did apply early, and I was with my mom, I was with my dad. I think it was on a Sunday that I was looking through my emails and we were in the living room. My sisters, I think they were like downstairs playing, and then I saw like there was like a green button or something like that. And then I saw the congratulations email, and right away, like I told my mom, I told my dad, I was just, very happy, very grateful. I was like, wow, like, now like I'll be able to continue on my journey with my family. And I'm talking about my RFS family. I'll be able to continue on my journey. It was just something that was just very exciting, something that was unforgettable for sure, because I already knew that, Rutgers is a place that I wanted to be at, and I was just happy to be able to get that acceptance letter.
That's right. Electronically, Chelsea?
Yeah, for me, it was during the school day. So it was right before PE class, and I was sitting in the bleachers, Michelle, you'll know, in the Anthony gym. And I was just on my phone right before class, and I checked my email and I saw that there was a status alert. So I went on and checked it, and of course, immediately told all my friends and sent screenshots to the family group chat. So they could see. And when I got home that day, there's like my mom made my favorite food to like welcome me home, and it was great.
Tiana.
So for me, I found out through the mail, like the acceptance letter, because I don't know, I just didn't check my email that day. And my mom was like, oh, you need to like open up your mail. And I'm like, what are you so excited about? And then I get home and it's like the Rutgers letter. And then like the day after, she made cupcakes with like red icing and like all this like, Rutgers stuff to like show my family and everything.
That's incredible. And Nassar, you have the story. Well, I was on this panel with about 200 people, and President Holloway came on. That's a great story to tell your children and family in one day. But thank you guys for sharing that. So, Michelle, how has being a scholar? So you alluded to it already a little bit. How's being a scholar impacted your life?
Being a scholar, it's honestly impacted my life greatly, because I remember coming in, we started with the Spark program. So all the way back to 7th grade, I was just very like a shy, laid back girl, didn't want to, I was just very quiet. And I remember, coming into this new environment and being with a whole bunch of people from different cities as well, and being with the staff at RFS and the college buildings that we were going to in New Brunswick. And it was definitely a new environment. It was something that I've never experienced before. And it really helped me and allowed me to get out of my comfort zone. It really helped me and allowed me to grow into, who I am today. So it has definitely opened up a lot of doors for me. It's something that is, never forgettable. The people, the relationships that I've been able to build and have as well, until today. Like, it's definitely something that's impacted my life greatly, because now I do have, a lot of leadership positions. And now, I feel like I was able to get that confidence from the experiences that I've had at RFS, from the Spark program to all the, the summers that we would all be together. So I'm definitely able to have that confidence boosted in me, throughout the RFS.
All right. Tiana, what about you? How's being a scholar impacted your life?
So, like Michelle just mentioned, like I started the program real quiet and like I stayed to myself and like I was shy and everything. And then like I watched, well, I think of it now and it's like RFS really built me up to like, really build my character, really built my social skills and everything else. I remember like once I like closer to the end of the program, like I was always like talking to everyone and like open to like, oh, like let me talk, let me speak, or like, just really like being involved in everything. And I feel like, RFS really contributed to that.
Sure. And there's so many people that make this happen. So it's an honor for me to join you. But we know we have this incredible staff of within RFS who are truly dedicated to each and every one of you, who answer texts and calls and visits when time comes back. But also this extended family that we have. So we have so many partners on each of our campuses, instructional partners like the English department or science. But we also have our school district partners who have been integral in assuring that this program is successful, from the guidance counselors who call us, who visit us, but also those of us, when we get to Rutgers, the programs like an Education Opportunity Fund program or a DASIS, who really helps cultivate these partnerships even further to ensure you get to where you want to be. So that, I mean, partly that sort of brings us to the next question. This education that Rutgers has and will provide. And sorry, let me ask you, what does a Rutgers education mean to you? Potential Rutgers education mean to you and your family?
As you can see, it means a lot to my family because like they can they know that they raised me right. They know that I'm gonna be successful. They know that I can achieve greatness, and like they're like, proud of me for that. And for me personally, this means the world to me because like I would like do what my family couldn't. Like they wasn't able to make it to college. I'll be able to like do that. I'll be able to set a future for like my future career. I'll be able to set up stuff for my future children because of this education. It's gonna like push me so far like in life.
Wow. So what is it that you aspire to do?
I aspire to be an accountant because I
Nice.
really like money. I really like math, and I believe that's something I could do long term.
Fantastic. Most accountants won't join a panel with 150 people. Typically, it's not necessarily their personality type. So you're well on your way beyond, I guess, some of the expectations of accountants in the world. But thank you. So you're right. So all of our scholars are the first in their families to go to college, to complete a college education. So you're going to be the first to do that. So you're setting a precedent, all right, in your family and setting a great example for the generations to come. Chelsea, what about you, Chelsea? What has this Rutgers education meant to you and your family?
It's always meant that any gap that there may have been in opportunity, because that the fact that I knew that I wanted to be a pre-law student from the get-go. I knew I wanted to go to law school and become a lawyer, but no one in my family even got close to law school, much less a college degree. And recognizing that there was that gap between familial connections or knowing people around us that had those kind of qualities to help me get to my career, a Rutgers education degree and of course the RFS family has always meant that that gap can be bridged and that I wouldn't be any less qualified or any less well prepared than another student that might have these connections. So Rutgers, through the alumni network, through the foundation, and through many other opportunities, has been able to introduce me to alumni that have been able to help me across the way and be a mentor when I didn't have family members that went through law school to tell me how to get through the LSAT without breaking down, or how to apply for law schools, how to maybe interview for them. So the Rutgers education really meant that opportunity I didn't have to skip over any of these gaps or really struggle to get through just because I may not have had these inborn traits that some other people may have had, and that there are plenty of ways to make sure that I am on the same level, starting from the same spot as any other person.
That's right. So it's recognizing, these opportunities that we have, right? So whether that's part of being a scholar, what you learn as a scholar, but also being at an institution like Rutgers that presents so many, again, these opportunities to you. What what folks have been there along the way, the mentors in your life. Who wants to share a little bit about, mentors that you've had either through RFS as a high schooler or as an undergrad? Who have you turned to for some support?
I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. I'll go ahead and answer the question. So some mentors that I definitely had, well, starting from when I was in high school, when we did have the mentors who would, I forgot if it was every Friday or every other Friday. I think it was every other Friday, because I remember when it wasn't the Fridays, like I was like, dang, like I wish my mentor was coming today. Like I wish, I was being able to meet her. So yeah, started off from the mentors that we had, from high school. And those were, already undergrads. So they were already undergrads and they were helping us with the high school, getting ready, to transition from high school to college, because at my school, we didn't have that. And I was very thankful, very grateful for them, taking their own time and, putting that into us to make sure that we're good. And whatever questions that we had, they were able to answer. Even if they didn't know what the answer was, they would always make sure that they would find somebody or reach out to someone who was able to provide the answers that we needed. So that was something that, I don't know, it just meant a lot to me, because like I know, like, as you get older, how like, time is really something that's very, very valuable. When I was younger, didn't really, realize the importance of time. So for, you all to set that up for the mentors, and for the mentors to, take the time out of their days, and especially because, college is definitely not easy. College is not easy. So for them to do that for us, that meant a lot to me. And, you, Mr. G, you are someone that means a lot to me tremendously. Miss Kim Williams, Miss Brittany Pryor, you three were always the main ones that, like, I would always just, go back to. I love and like I really, really appreciate that. I'm sorry, that whenever like I needed something, I was able to go to you guys. You guys always showed my family like the most like love and the support, whatever. Yeah, I just really,
we love you. Well, I think we all join Michelle in those sentiments, right? I mean, as as for myself and the folks that you mentioned, the mentors and our staff, I mean, we find it to be a privilege, right, to join you in this journey, right? So anyone who is on the call with children understand too that it's not easy necessarily for them to share willingly about what's happening in their lives, and I think that's one of the things that we take and appreciate greatly, that scholars are willing to share with us and call on us. But again, there's so many of us. I appreciate you mentioned, but I know there's so many others, right, Tiana, that's been a part of this story with you. What have they done for you?
So like when I was in the program, I really connected strongly with I feel like the mentors we had normally stuck with our cohort till like I graduated. So I had like Marcellus, Moses, like Mary, and like once we were like towards the end, we like my cohort felt like we had to do something for them. Like we made them like tie-dye t-shirts. Like they were like, $5, but we just felt so like drawn to them, so connected, and like they really helped us through everything, like through, regular problems, through school problems, through life problems, through like, relationship problems. Like we could really go to our mentors, like they were like our older brothers or our older sisters, and they would really like, sit there and talk to us and truly help us. And then once I was choosing a college, like I would talk to them because, sometimes during the summer they would come from different campuses from Rutgers, and, I got to talk to someone from New Brunswick or someone from Newark or someone from Camden. And I really was like, okay, well, this is what I'm looking for in a school. And they'll be like, oh, like maybe you should talk to this person because they go to this school, and, this campus sounds like this is the one that you really are closer to. And they helped me with picking which college campus I was going to go to. And then once I came to Rutgers, I still felt like I had a close bond, even though I didn't personally know the mentors before coming to Rutgers, but because I came from Camden and then I went to Rutgers North. Right. And it still felt like I was in a big extended family that already accepted me, already loved me, already knew me. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know them except like besides, we're RFS, but they, helped me
Right.
throughout my journey. I had a whole bunch of like problems I had to fix with like my application, like financial aid, and like everyone really was like, okay, well, come to me, like we'll sit down, we'll go through your problems and I'll help you like fix this. And I always felt like I could always go to RFS when I needed something. Like I could always go to them for help, and like they'll always be there no matter where, like what campus.
No, that's great. Nassar, that's potentially something you may experience. So these hoodies or the shirts you may be on, that's right, you may be on a walking through the quad or on one of the shuttles, and you'll point each other out. You may not know that person, but you know about the journey, right? So you'll be like, are you a scholar? And then the story comes on, and which one of the stories I think staff and I really enjoy overhearing is when a scholar from two communities start talking about their RFS experience, and they start to point out like older siblings and younger siblings may point out like, you guys get to do what? You went where? How did you, what? We didn't get to do that. So Nassar, what about you? What has been some of them, a memorable moment in RFS, one of your best experiences through the program?
A memorable moment was the first ever trip we went on, was because we got to like bond closer with all the mentors, and like you can tell that the mentors weren't just like teachers in there. They weren't just there for the paycheck. They like showed that they actually cared. You can feel the love like from everybody there. And like we got to like build stronger like on a personal connection when we was like on the camping trip, because we had time to like sleep over, actually talk to one another, like stay up and like discuss random things like brothers and sisters would actually do.
That's right. So the first trip was that the camping trip?
Yes.
Right. So that's one of the things. Luckily, I'm glad you mentioned that. I hope you didn't mention a DC trip or a trip to LA, because then everybody was like, wait, you got to do what? But the camping trip particularly is something that we wanted to create for all the scholars to share in that experience. So we head over to Princeton's Blairstown for a day or two or three to do that leadership and experiential learning bonding that you describe. And you're right. You learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your peers during those times. And we as a staff and our extended staff, I think we truly look forward to those as well. We don't sleep. I don't know if you guys know that. We don't sleep. We sleep with one eye open, but it's so fun. So for the guests with us, all our supporters who are on the call, you're able to, if you'd like to ask a question, you may be able to do that in the chat box there. So please submit your questions, and I'll be able to ask our wonderful scholars. Like hopefully I'll be able to ask one of our scholars those questions as well. So please feel welcome to do so. So scholars, it'd be hard not to ask this question given what we're currently in, right? So we are living in this Zoom world. Typically, in an event like this, and we have President Holloway with us, it'll be quite fun to have everyone together, sharing in these moments like this. I may have my patented red Chucks on, but I don't. I got my Wu-Tang slippers on. Okay, so we're home. It's different. This is so different than what we anticipated. And for many of us, there's been quite a bit of challenges. And I think we know what those challenges are, and we recognize those challenges. But scholars, and I'll open it up to any of you to answer. Over this past year, right? We're coming up in a year where we've had to resort to remote learning and these other types of experiences. What have you learned about yourself this past year? What have you learned about yourself? Something that surprised you about you. We'll take a moment and think that. Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. One, I would like to apologize. I didn't know I was going to get that emotional.
You don't have to apologize, Michelle. We'll try to give you a hug here, but we're not allowed to touch you.
But honestly, this past year was it was one that no one saw coming, but one that was definitely needed. personally, and I'm sure a lot can agree with as well. For me this past year, I just really, what I learned about myself is that under like deep problems or deep like issues that I may be dealing with, I cannot run away from those things. Those are things that, you know, do have to be faced eventually. And I'm happy that I was able to face that situation. I really understand and learned the importance of, you know, mental health. And I feel like a lot of people, they overlook mental health, or a lot of people are now just, you know, starting to understand the importance of mental health and how mental health comes in a lot of different ways. So it doesn't have to be anything severe. You don't have to, you know, say that, oh, you severely have this or that, you know, in order to be in that category. But mental health is a very, very important issue. And, you know, I did get therapy this past year to be able, and that therapy helped me. That therapy helped me get through that underlying situation that I had. And now, you know, I'm free from that situation. So I'm very happy that I was able to learn that about myself. I cannot, you know, run from situations because they do impact a lot of the things afterwards.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. I think you're right. I think we do have to promote sort of mental health and wellness, but also the importance of getting the help that we need, especially in our communities of color. There's a stigma, right, that goes along with this idea that one needs help or any type of you know, therapy like that is frowned upon. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that's an important aspect that we all need to take note. Tiana, Chelsea, Nassar, what have you learned about yourself this past year?
I'll go. Something this past year that I learned about myself is how to like be more like independent, you can say, because I've had to like teach myself a lot of like different things through YouTube, because like you can't just have other, like you can't be around other people, and like a lot of the things around the house, I just had to YouTube it to teach myself how to like fix it and stuff. And I taught myself like self a lot of things just with the internet that I usually wouldn't have done. I just would have got it from someone else.
Give us something. What did you fix, or what did you look up that you had to learn?
Um, it's some multiple things I had to learn, but the most like important thing I've had to learn was probably like how to like set up the little electric thing on the garage. Like it was broken, and I figured out how to fix it through YouTube.
Like to open the garage door?
Yeah, to
Wow,
go up and down.
that's impressive. That's impressive. Chelsea.
I'd probably say like appreciate the little achievements. So I feel like back when we were running about, I feel like I'm always running out of time to do things or having to commute to work or school. You feel like when you have a big achievement, you go out to celebrate that, of course. But when we have so little of that moving around and you spend more time just working on little things about yourself, like Michelle was saying about mental health or going to fix something, it's the little steps along the way, just because you don't know if that end result will work out. And I think a lot of this mentality comes from the fact that I was studying for a standardized test the entire summer. So I spent every day at my computer studying. I didn't go out, and I didn't even go to work at that time because of the risks that were going around, because I work at a medical clinic. So there weren't any outside distractions. So being every day when you're looking at the score, the practice scores aren't coming out right, and you just got to appreciate the little achievements, the little things along the way that you've achieved or that you've done better from the previous day to get yourself moving on to the next day.
That's right. You got to celebrate those small wins, because every day, I mean, you go through a range of emotions, right? In the morning, you may feel you're on a high, and then hit the lows of a midday. Luckily, right now we're midday and we're feeling good. But you know, I'm with you on that one, and if, I know I share the sentiments of all of our partners and our staff that we miss being with scholars sincerely, right? That's what we really enjoyed to do. Tiana, you had something to say? Something you learned?
Yeah, so for me, I never knew how dependent I was on going places and going outside. Like, well, now that I'm stuck inside, I'm really realizing that I used to love to stay busy and always go somewhere and always be somewhere or always doing something. Like, I felt like that was what I had to do to just be me. And
Right.
I just really found ways to be like with myself, or like find peace from within, or like from being by myself, because I'm not used to just staying in one spot, or like just sitting down, and like I think I found new focus mechanisms too, because also like I'm the type to like, oh, let me go to the library and study around people, or let me like get a group of people together and we study together. And then I also like throughout this, I learned how to, study on my own, or like find a quiet place inside, like maybe
Okay.
I'll sit in a corner or something. But I also had I felt like everyone had to be like innovative. So we all thought we couldn't in the beginning, but now we're learning that we really can do like whatever we could, or whatever we thought we couldn't do.
Mm. That's a great way to put it. Scholars, let me ask you this question, because this is something that we start to help, guide our scholars in thinking about. It's easy to ask a young person, and I don't know if it's necessarily easy to ask, but usually the question that we ask young people is, what do you want to be in life? And it's a really hard question to answer. And so we've taken the approach to ask our scholars and to ask you, what problem do you want to help solve in this world, right? And so it could be issues that we're seeing within our own communities. It could be improving products or systems so that things could run more efficiently. Because ultimately, if you look at answering that question about what problem you want to solve, then you get to understand better the type of education and preparation and training you may need in order to help solve that problem. So other than asking you, what is it that you want to be? I want to include that part of it. So with this degree, what is it that you aspire to be? And sorry, you mentioned you want to be an accountant, right? And so with the lens of solving problems, what are you going to do with this degree? Post, right? So your post-secondary degree. What are you going to do with this? And anyone can jump on right now. Tiana, you want to join? You want to?
Yeah, okay. So my major, like you mentioned earlier, is nonprofit administration. Well, public and nonprofit administration. And that's from a couple of major changes, but I started to think like, well, what do I do, or what do I like doing, or what really helped me? And RFS and my mentors truly helped me. So I want to own a nonprofit. That's like my end goal. And then
Yeah.
I want the nonprofit to be focused on like inner city kids who, are going through like different problems and feel like they can't talk to their family. And I also want to incorporate like art therapy, or like, music therapy, or different like forms of arts that they can express themselves to like, just better
Right.
their situations.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tiana. It's well needed, right? And something that you can expand in every city, right, or any area where young people need that type of encouragement. Chelsea, were you going to say?
Yeah, I want to solve legal injustice and inequality as a public defender. So my majors are economics and political science, but I've always known that I wanted to be a lawyer and work in criminal defense, probably because of the Innocence Project that I was interested in from the time I was in, I think, 7th grade. And I remember telling the RFS family very early on that this was my plan and I'm going to do it. So everyone has always supported me and tried to help me find different ways to make sure that I can do that. But since then, it's just convinced me further how many avenues of inequality there are. But as one person, I decided to focus on legal inequality and injustice. And I don't think the topic has ever been more relevant than it has in this past year.
Wow, thank you, Michelle. Sorry, you want to join in that? You want to
I can
answer
go.
this? Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Although like I want to major in accounting, like I said, because like math is what I'm passionate about. I plan on trying to minor in like public speaking or something like that,
Mm,
because I'm really like outgoing. I like to talk, and like over the course of the years, RFS like has like molded my immaturity into like a leader, and like getting my voice heard. And I know that I can like speak to other people. I can maybe be a public speaker to like motivate people, like tell them about my background and how I'm like rising up and how they can also take the right path and not the wrong path, and I can like help people go to the like right direction.
Love it. And yeah, you absolutely can do that. And if you guys don't recognize Asar, he did show up on New Year's, a couple of days in New Year's in your homes as part of our New Year's uh, uh, recognition and celebration. Michelle, you want to close this answer out?
Yeah.
Question
So
out?
I actually have two problems that I would like to solve. So the first one, going towards, where my degree. So I am, pursuing a nursing degree. And the reason why is because there is a high mortality rate with African Americans women compared to other women of different race. So that is something that I do want to really, be educated in that field and get in that field and shift those race, the difference between those. So that is the main reason why I am going for nursing, and also because I feel like there should be more nurses who actually care about their patients, not just the nurses, who come in and do their job and that's it. It's really important for me to treat a patient how, I would want them to treat one of my sisters, or how I would want them to treat, a family member of mine. So I want to also be that nurse for another person's family. And then the second problem that I would like to solve, which is something that I feel like not a lot of people really pay attention to, I would like to help people just really realize the potential that they have, the full potential that they have, because I feel like society really does a great job with belittling someone, or making them not allowing them to understand like how great they really can be, and really having that belief. And that is something that I did get from being a part of RFS, just having that, that belief seed, like, planted in me. And then RFS just really like, cultivating it and, watering it down inside of me, which has really, helped me get to the belief that of where I'm at right now. So I do want to continue to, impact other people, and really, help them understand that, their purpose is, not just to go to work every day, but it's to, do something. It's to, do something greater than themselves. So those are the two problems that I would like to solve.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been really fun. We have some questions from our family who is listening in here. And perhaps Chelsea, maybe you can help answer this question for Unique. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Unique. In what areas can Rutgers community provide additional student support during these challenging times? So the Rutgers community can provide additional support during these challenging times?
I would say that the RFS and Rutgers University in general has the foundation set up in order to help these students. I know that I had to ask for help through the emergency funds. I understand the RFS had its own as well, that some of my fellow scholars were able to be helped out in tough times for. And some things more concrete is, when our laptops stop working, buying a new laptop is kind of rough right now. So if we could borrow one, I know RFS has been able to help out a lot of students in that way. So just coming together to help the students with resources that they need for classes right now, and definitely to continue with connecting students with people that might be able to help them with their future careers. So in my case, I was still able to meet with someone I met through the Rutgers Foundation, who were lawyers right now, to walk me through this process of applications and talking me through everything, because a lot of the fear comes from the fact that the job market isn't good right now. So as seniors, I'm sure Michelle would relate to me as well, but as seniors, you're worried about being unemployed after you graduate, or in my case, not being able to get into the law school that I want to, because there are a lot more people applying in this cycle. So easing those concerns, being there for the students, perhaps creating a network, especially for RFS students. Again, like I said before, the gap in opportunity is something that I wish would never exist. And if there was a more stable safety net of sorts, because running around trying to find people that might not always be able to help you is very frustrating sometimes as students. It makes us very discouraged as well. So I would say as a community to help us right now, but also to prepare for the future, whether that's in more education, a graduate level education, or whether that's trying to get a job right now in the tough times that we're in.
Right. No, thank you, Chelsea. So there's a couple points that Chelsea mentioned there that I think we should emphasize. One, RFS has set up, through the support of many of you who are on this call today, as well as the help from the Rutgers Foundation and Emergency Fund, to help address some of the tech, educational, and mental and health and wellness needs of our families. So during this period, as you can imagine, there's a great amount of families who are experiencing food insecurities, as well as living in insecurities. So we are addressing that by providing families with grants and financial support to get them through at least a small period of time. But beyond that, we do look for alums and professionals who want to help our scholars through some mentorship and through our initiative called Launchpad. So those of you on the call who are really interested in providing some insight, right, some guidance, and some gems to young people who are still navigating, their careers, we welcome an opportunity for you to join us. And so this points to two questions that came in from Deborah and Jason. Hello, Jason Gaines, class of 17. I love you. Right. So his question is about scholars feeling nostalgic, right, about their experience in RFS, about being encouraged to pursue, their dreams and goals. But once they get to their careers, this potential less hopeful feeling may come in, feeling that this imposter syndrome, right, and the career challenges become a new reality. And I think, Jason, partly what I think we could do to help that, and we all know that once a scholar, always a scholar. So these are scholars who've been with us since they were 13, now they're 25, 26, early in their career. I think this is where alumni support can also help. We all need mentors at every point of our lives, and mentors don't always need to be someone who's done it before you, right? They can be there to encourage you. They could also provide some insight on how to navigate a certain situation. And so Deborah's question about how alumni can support points to what Jason is trying to figure out right now in terms of getting through some really challenging times in their lives and their careers and who to turn to. I think we've been very fortunate in RFS that we've had supporters, champions, always step up to help scholars in their early careers, as well as once they are thinking about a career choice as an upperclassman at Rutgers or any institution. I think we have a great example of that. And I think probably this is a great segue to do just that. Early on when RFS was launched in 2008, there was a number of folks who stepped up right away without any question, knowing that this is going to be an important initiative and that they need to be a part of it, and we need to find ways to sustain it long term. And so for us, it's been an honor to work with them for such a long period of time, to see that their impact on RFS, on scholars particularly, has been. One such supporter who's joining us today is Mr. Luke Visconti. And there's a lot of adjectives that come to mind when I think of Luke. He has become a mentor to many of our scholars, including Jason, who asked that great question. He is compassionate. He is truly giving of his time, of his resources, of sharing his network, and taking the time that is needed to ensure that scholars can get to where they want to go by simply having a little bit of encouragement, but also understanding that, Chelsea, you mentioned, that there isn't an achievement gap here, right? Nassar and Tiana, Michelle, there's not an achievement gap. You all can achieve, you all incredible, but it's an opportunity gap. And so where supporters like everyone on this call can come in and help is addressing those opportunity gaps. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our friend and our champion, Mr. Luke Visconti. Thank you, Luke.
I see you smiling, Chelsea. How are you?
Hello, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. And Yaris and Jason, I know you're both on the in the audience, so it's nice to be in the same room with you. And thank you, Aramis. Thank you for the introduction. And Nassar, congratulations. You're going to soon be one of us, a Rutgers alumnus. It'll go faster than you think. But congratulations, you worked hard and you earned your spot. It's really nice to see that. And to hear it from the president of the university is pretty cool. So I was asked to talk on three things. The first one is, why did I get involved? And another person who's in this room is Courtney McAnuff, he's the man who got me involved. When I first became a trustee, I went to meet with all of the president's direct reports, and Courtney told me about this program, and then he told me it was starting right away. And why? Why did this talk to me? Well, I like Aramis's question to the scholars. What problem did I want to solve? I immediately saw RFS as a way to bring a little more fairness to this world, and fairness is important to me. To be able to help young people see their possibilities, give them that vision, to help them develop the skills they need, and I think probably most importantly, to give them the care and the security for them to be a success, to facilitate the success that's inside of all of them. So that's how I got involved, and that's the problem that I saw this program could solve. A second point, which I think is very important, I've been very successful in business, and it started with my Rutgers degree. It gave me access to everything. So I've done well, and I wanted to give back. But I'm a businessman, and I like to be able to measure success. If you go to the Rutgers Future Scholars webpage, it's futurescholars.rutgers.edu, you could see the research has been done. Each class of Rutgers Future Scholars costs $2.5 million, but returns $14 million to the state of New Jersey and $67 million in federal income tax to the United States, compared with the similar cohort of students from the schools that our scholars come from. So there's an enormous return on investment. And I think really the sad thing is we have figured out, and through Aramis and his staff's hard work and through the subsidy of Rutgers University, we've figured out how to make an enormous amount of money, and somehow there's not enough to get every kid in New Jersey engaged in the program in some way. But that's the problem that I think the donors online can help us with. You could see the end results of your work. I mean, I've known Yaris and Jason for 12 years. Both of them worked in my company as interns. You get to see what happens to your investment. And so in that regard, not everybody is going to find this particular project speaking to them personally. So I encourage people who are thinking about giving back, who have been successful in any way. Doesn't need to be huge. You don't need to wait. Start giving back. Find a project that talks to you. There's so many things. I mean, Chelsea's talking about being an attorney. We have a great law school. Find something that talks to you and give back. I think there's so much opportunity here. I want to close with really one thing I think that's very important. It is inspirational to see Aramis's leadership on this program, and he's got a wonderful staff. And that inspiration, I want to give direct credit. We have a Navy ROTC unit, which is there because the admiral in charge at the time saw the Future Scholars program and said, this is where I want to put my Navy ROTC unit. So we have this beautiful program, which has the power to inspire big things to happen. And the more of this kind of communication, Aramis, that we could do, and I've been with you many times when you've done this, you put the scholars in front of people and it's just amazing. You know, they just relate this so well. It's so beautiful. So thank you, Aramis. Thank you for all those years of hard work. Thank you for all the kids, the thousands of kids that you've helped achieve their own greatness.
Thank you, Luke. You're a part of that. Many on this call are a part of that. I want to thank you, Luke, for championing these efforts, as well as President Holloway, thank you so much, sir, for joining us today and helping us share our story. We'd like to also thank the Rutgers Foundation for helping to facilitate and organize this Access to Achievement webinar. We greatly appreciate all of your efforts thus far. And of course, if Michelle, Tiana, Nassar, and Chelsea could turn on your cameras, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to share a little bit about your story, about your RFS experience, about your aspirations. And especially wanted to congratulate Nassar on this incredible accomplishment today. Just enjoy this accomplishment today. Make a decision, right? Informed decision with your family when the time comes, but you've earned it, as President Holloway mentioned, and it's an honor and a privilege to join you along the way. President Holloway, any thoughts, sir?
I think this was, as I expected, it would be an amazing time together, just as I promised everybody from the beginning. As I've always said, when I get the chance to join students, and I say it that way intentionally, when I get the chance to join students in telling a Rutgers story, I know it's going to be a good event. It's going to be a great event. And all of you have affirmed that declaration all over again. While I'm so sorry I can't be doing this in person, it's really exciting that we get to do this remotely and to make these connections to a larger Rutgers community. Aramis, you're fabulous. You've clearly done amazing work. Michelle, thank you for your honesty in so many ways. And thank you, Aramis, for allowing that space for Michelle. And Nassar, look what you can join. Look what you can join at the next level if you decide to accept. Luke, thank you for your great words. And Chelsea and Tiana, thank you for just being fabulous Rutgers representatives. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a happy 2021. We encourage everyone to be healthy, be safe. Remember, mask saves lives, and we'll be together relatively soon, hopefully sooner rather than later, and appreciate everyone's time. So thank you, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.